Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Tip Tuesday. Now, um, normally I like to give real estate tips, and sometimes we have experts come and share tips with us. But I gotta tell you guys, as a single guy out in this dating world, sometimes you stumble across a story that's just too good not to tell. And I gotta tell you, I went on a date last night that went so sideways that it was just a comedy. I have to share. So I don't know. What's the tip? The tip to all you ladies out there is, learn from these red flags. And if you got them, yeah, I don't know. Let me just tell this story. And you know what? After you hear this story, like I'd love to see in the group chat, just like share some of your hilarious stories of like just interesting dates you've been on and red flags. So it all started out innocently enough. I was at a house party, lots of people, being friendly, whatever. Met this lovely lady. She's cute, well put together. And I met her actually as I was leaving the party. And, we just kind of got to chatting on the driveway of the property. And she drove a really nice car. And I was like, okay, you seem pretty cool. So I got her contact, of course, got them digits. And we started chatting, texting back and forth. She seems really smart, really well put together. She's the CEO of a tech startup that she founded. Very impressive. Um, I was like, okay, this is great. Asked her on a date. She said yes. Planned it out. Everything's going great. And in my mind, oh, and she brought a black lab puppy to the house party. I was like, oh my god, I'm a sucker for black labs, and this that was it. I can see how puppies are a chick magnet because it worked in reverse on me. I was like, whoa, puppy. Who owns that puppy? A cute girl. I'm in. Okay. So this is the setup. So we set the date for 6:30. I'm like, great, cool. Make a reso at a nice restaurant because that's what you do. And I found out. She told me what building she lived in downtown. We're both in downtown Vancouver. Lives in a very nice building in a very nice part of town. So again, I'm just like, okay, seems like a well put together individual. This is great. And so I'm walking over. I'm like, hey, I'm walking over on track for 6:30. She's like, oh, I'm running behind. I'm running a little bit late. I'm like, no problem, whatever. I can extend my walk or whatever. And then I said, well, wait a second. Why don't I take your puppy for a walk while you finish getting ready? Puppy time. Perfect. Okay, great. So she says, yes, sounds like a great idea. No big deal. I pushed the reso back from 6:30 to 7:30 because I figure a little extra time never hurt anybody. Buzzes me up to her apartment. The apartment is a disaster. And not like when like a really neat and tidy apartment is just a little bit disorganized because it was a busy day. No, this is like an apartment that has been in a state of utter disarray for a very long time and cleaned. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while. Okay. And this puppy, it's like 8 months old, is a little bit of a terror. I'm like, okay, so it's all fired up. It probably just hasn't been for its walk. So okay, I say hello, whatever. Grab the dog, going for a walk. And this dog is like a wild animal. Like it does not. It was insane. I've walked a lot of dogs. This dog was one step down from taking a friggin' coyote for a walk. So I'm like, okay, again, not that doesn't look like any effort has been made into training this dog, but that's cool, whatever. Get back to the apartment, not even close to ready. Okay. So, she's in the washroom doing whatever it is. And I'm like, great, good things take time. I'm patient. I'm cool. I can entertain myself on my phone. She didn't really seem that interested in communicating. She just had the music pumped super loud. So I just kind of chilled out, in her apartment, trying not to, touch too many of the untidy things and just watching this wild animal of a dog, rip around like a Tasmanian devil, rip the place apart. Like, okay, getting late. At this point, like, I'm starving. I'm a little hangry, but I'm playing it cool because I want to leave a good impression on this lovely lady that I'm about to take on a date. Time's ticking, time's ticking. Another half hour goes by. At this point, I push the reso from 6:30 to 7:30. She's ready at 7:30. Does she look fabulous? Yes. Great. Okay, let's go. The restaurant was in walking distance. I picked something conveniently close because why not? It's one of the perks of being in downtown Vancouver. Get to the restaurant, and thank God, we got there in the nick of time. The hostess of the restaurant said, "Hey, if you guys had been 1 or 2 more minutes late, we would have given your table away. So it's a good thing you're here." Great. Like, okay, can we see your vaccine passport? I show my vaccine passport. Great. Like, I'm already dreaming of the delicious appetizer I'm about to eat to relieve this ferocious hunger that I have. And she pulls out her vaccine passport. It's a single vaccine passport. Now, as of yesterday in BC, you had to be double vaxxed or not allowed into restaurants. Well, that's embarrassing. And she proceeds to argue with the hostess, just trying to like resolve the situation. So there's a debate. I'm standing there awkwardly, hoping that something is going to resolve itself. It doesn't. Okay. So now we're not going to get into this restaurant. And guess what? We're not getting into any restaurant. She's like, don't worry. I know people. So I stand there while she, is talking into the phone to a various array of people, trying to see if she can pull some strings to get us in somewhere. After another 15 minutes of that, the answer is no. We're not getting it anywhere. So at this point, it's like 8 o'clock. I'm thinking to myself, do I bail? Have I seen enough? Like, well, a lot of lead up has gone into this, and this is really just a series of unfortunate events. A little bit late, okay. No vax card, should have known better, but okay. So we decided to go back to her place and get skip the dishes. So now the food finally shows up at 8:30. We're chatting, and the conversation was really probably about a half-hour conversation of me smiling and nodding politely, and her complaining about how she has so many guy friends and how women always hate on her because she has so many guy friends and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, okie dokie, that's cool. And then the conversation shifted to how so many of her female friends are so difficult. And I was like, oh, like if everybody's difficult but her, maybe there's a common denominator. But okay. So I'm like, okay, I've had enough of you complaining. Let's talk about something you might be super into talking about, which is, your business. So like, I was like, oh man, that's a super cool car you have. Tell me about your car. She's like, well, it's not really my car. It's my ex-boyfriend's car. I'm like, oh, well, that's awfully nice of him to let you use it. And she's like, yeah, he works for the capital firm that funded my startup. So I still have to see him all the time. And yeah, just nice that he lets me use his car. I'm like, oh, okay, that's great that you and your ex are on great terms like that. Sure, cool. In my mind, I'm like adding up the red flags, and the food shows up. We're munching away. It's Thai food. I like Thai food. I'm getting in a good mood. I'm feeling full. And as the evening progresses, she's going and like blowing her nose a lot. She's got the sniffles, and I'm like, wait a minute, one COVID vaccine. She's got the sniffles. What is going on? And finally, I'm like, are you cool? Are you sick? Just kind of like, we got a little COVID monster here? Deadpan looks me in the eye and says, oh, no. I'm not sick. I just have really bad sniffles because I did a bunch of Coke this weekend and I still have a little bit of stuff going on in my nose. So don't worry, it's just Coke. And I just look at her like, oh yeah. And she's like, oh yeah, but she's like, don't worry. I only do Coke because it helps me be more productive at work. It helps me focus. So it's all good. And I was like, cool. Well, past my bedtime, so catch you later. and that was my super interesting date last night. So, not real estate tips, but hey, that's dating for you. So, if you know somebody out there that doesn't have a monster pile of red flags, send them my way. Anyways, have a good one, everybody. Thought you'd enjoy a little story on a Tuesday.